Hello and good evening from Germany. This is Jonathan Quell-Higgins speaking at an unusual place, but our usual time, with the exception of the Aussie guys who have now daylight saving times, as far as I know. Welcome to this extraordinary show. John is going solo again. Swis has the invitation. I've also dropped the link just in case that somebody wants to join me. So you may ask why am I trying this, or why am I doing this stream tonight? It's very simple. There have been two exciting releases, and I wanted to present those to the audience. Without any additional input, I'll be finished in 30 minutes. But if somebody wants to join, or if you guys from the chats want to have some questions replied, please post them. I also apologize for last time. I think there have been a couple of questions that have not been replied. What I regret is I didn't say hello to Design Atelier, who said hello from Aruba, and that went a little bit south. So hello to Design Atelier. And we have our first guest. So welcome. 1 second, let me check in. Okay, he's authentified. So hello, Patel Philippe.
It's me, Higgy. Come on.
Yeah, I know. but I must verify if you're Google verified. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I saw that you started. I was gonna go out for dinner in a bit, so I said, you know what, Higgy's live, and you sent me the link. You told me about it earlier, so I said, let's. I don't know anything about this release, by the way, so I'm interested to get educated on it and talk some watches for a bit.
Well, you're on the wrong channel if you hope for education, but thank you very much for the flowers. So where are you at the moment? Are you able to disclose your location, or is it totally
Yeah, look,
secret?
no, it's fine. I'm in the UK right now, just traveling, and I'll be back home soon. So I'm on a relatively European time zone. I'm about probably an hour behind you right now, but yeah, it's nighttime here, and I was gonna go get a bite to eat in a little bit. So figured
Yeah,
what's good to get the appetite going, get a bit of watch talk, right?
that is good to hear. Yes, I think you're 1 hour behind, but it's still 8 o'clock, so it's time now to get dinner. So when you have to go, just drop me a note or let me know. And but thank you very much for
Yeah,
hopping
for sure.
on and joining me, because it's always easier to do it together with someone.
Yeah, you got a lot of people in the chats fired up.
Yeah. So
Happy
so
to see
you
that.
are in the country of Thomas Burnett. Thomas Burnett says hello, Swis and John, and hopefully hello to Tan. Thomas is also asking what the thoughts are about the Moser Pioneer Tourbillon. Well, that is the reason why we made that show. I hope that we come to that topic very soon. That is my number one topic for tonight. So stay tuned and see what my opinion and what the specs are. Tommy's saying hello, the man with the expensive pillows. We've been texting already a couple of times today. Hello, Tommy. Good to see you. Watches 63. Am I in the right place for some watch talk? Let's see what happens. Voulez-vous says hello and good afternoon from the United States. Hello, Voulez-vous. Good to see you, and I'm glad to hear that you enjoy the show. We have a new guest here, Neo. Hello, humanity. That is his well-known greetings. Hello, Neo. Good to see
I
you
miss
here on the
Neo.
Twitch.
We miss you in the Archieverse, Neo. So hopefully you'll be back soon.
So Voulez-vous is happy that we made it, and Neo says already he likes the smaller size Moser. Watches 63 has a different opinion. Patek is king. Neo says hello to you. And J. Gray Sweater says, hope you got some money made today, Jonathan
For
Quillig is
sure.
the third. Well, that may be difficult because we're not monetized, and we never may be. Back in the USSR, not sure what that is about, Voulez-vous, but I'm pretty sure you're right. Muhammad Ali says hello. Muhammad Ali is a massive friend of the House of Moser. Hello, Muhammad. I hope that you're wearing your H. Moser in celebration of this evening. So that was you. We are climbing you out, or we are crossing you out. Wulebu says hello to Muhammad Ali. Chili Badger, hello from Brighton. The swinging party has worn me out. You have my empathy. So J. Gray Sweater, remember what happened to the USSR? Unfortunately, the same fate might be headed to the, well, we're not talking about politics here, but in general, I think Jay Gray is right. So I'm skipping some of the comments. Neo, do you know of Cliff High? Not sure what that is about. Okay, so I think we did the greeting, and you guys have some fun in the chats. If there is any significant question, just point me to it, and we go with the topic. Actually, I learned something today.
Oh my God, that's
yes.
a first.
Yeah, I learned that I can open a browser window in StreamYard, because I always have the problem. So, for example, when I'm going here and there is a linked article, every time that I'm pressing on that linked article, it opens a new tab, and what I'm presenting is out. But now I can go to the new tab and go back to the old tab.
Yeah, I kind of like using the tabs just because, to me, I can just click the tab and I'll have multiple ones open. So it's just easier when I'm in StreamYard. I'm like, oh, I'm going to talk about the Moser thing, but I have my Moser tab open. I just click it. I just like doing it that way. But yeah, this one works as well.
Yeah, but previously I've been only showing the current tab that is open. When it opened a new tab, that was not visible. And now my browser window is open. So I find that very convenient. So I hope that presentation is getting better now. So today was a big announcement by H. Moser, one of the channel favorite brands. And of course, I've been totally hooked because I'm a sucker for blue dials. And those blue dials are absolutely gorgeous. So it is the Pioneer collection, which is well known. H. Moser, in my opinion, managed to design 2 or 3 hander watches, which at first glance look very classic. But when you look closer to it, it has a lot of neat feature, very modern aspects.
I'm going to interrupt you right now because Swis is in the chat.
Yes, Swis is in the chat. Yeah. Swis says, I'm proving again that I'm an old man. I don't know what he's referring to.
Come on, Swis. Come on. I can't be the sidekick. I can't live up to the Swis name. So we want you on the stream. It's a Swis and Jon show.
Oh, we have a threesome, whatever. So, but Swis is also a member of the H. Moser Club, which we found out on the last show. And his watch is absolutely gorgeous, I must say. Oh, we have here a new guest. Hello, Swis.
Hello.
So you just see you again.
How to how to share your browser on StreamYard. Bravo.
Yeah, I learned that now after half a year of going solo. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, slowly but steady.
Yeah, I'm a slow learner, and I didn't ask you. So.
Yeah.
Swis, bonjour, ça va?
Salut Tanzine, comment vas-tu? How are you doing?
Ça va bien, good.
So guys, I have just finished cooking my pizza. It is right there, but you are standing between me and my pizza.
Okay.
So let's get this over with.
Okay. So it sounds like you're not a big fan of that new release.
I really like that new release. Why would I not be a new fan?
Well, I was because Jonathan was just saying you have a Moser, so I'm assuming it's not a Pioneer.
No, it is not a Pioneer. So I was talking with Edouard Mellon a few times, and they did say that the Pioneer is by far the most popular model. And when I mean by far, it's like over 50% of their sales is Pioneers. So I guess, I'm trying to understand why. To me, it's like an odd watch, and like an odd combination between a dress watch and some sporty elements. So it has that, the case looks a bit sturdier. It has the rubber bracelet. It has the water resistance, and overall it has like a sportier look, and so I think this is why it is the most popular model. But what I didn't like with this model to begin with was the size. It was, I think, 43 or something like that, like really huge.
Yeah, when they first came out with the Pioneer, I actually reached out to Edouard Milan as well, and he's really accessible. Like guys, like social media, like he's a very accessible CEO. And I reached out to him, and I had a conversation around the Pioneer, and I thought this was actually pretty cool because a lot of brands were doing, the new sport watches that they were doing were not necessarily circular watches. So I actually really liked it when it first came out, and I'm not surprised that it is one of their better selling watches. You could get the fume dial in it, which a lot of people loved about Moser. So yeah, like from my perspective, I've always really had a nice affinity for this piece.
Yes, so I'm trying to flex Swiss new watch because I was mentioning it. So yeah, Swis said in long words, because he's a long talker, what I said right at the beginning. At first glance, it's a classic concept or a classic layout. Oh, Swis is gone.
Well, now that everybody knows Swiss has this very expensive piece,
Yeah,
and he probably wasn't making pizza. He might have been eating caviar. Now that we know he has
probably.
this, he decided to leave.
No, I think it's his shitty internet, or I was insulting for him by going after him. But he should get used to it, and that is not an excuse. So yeah, Swiss, I think, put it pretty correct, saying it looks like a classic concept, but that is never enough, particularly when you're running a company like H. Moser. So they put some modern touches into their watches, and I applaud them for that, by not sticking to the classic formula and just recreating another Calatrava. That is
So
controversial.
for you, Jonathan, just to kind of start from the beginning, the Pioneer lineup, you're a fan, is what you're saying.
It is a love and hate relationship with the Pioneer and me. So Swiss said it pretty right. The first problem with the Pioneer was that they were in 43 millimeters or 42.8, and that is too big for my taste. I had a conversation with Muhammad Ali this morning, who he bought a 42.8 as well, and he told me that the watch is almost perfect, but he wished that it would be a little bit smaller. So apparently that is a common criticism.
And have you tried on a Pioneer? Like, is it maybe
Yes.
the case? Okay, because yeah, I was wondering if it was just the case diameter doesn't always reflect how a watch wears. So if you tried it on, you felt
Yep.
it just
I
was a
had the
little too big.
privilege to try one
Mm-hmm.
on, and I found it also a little bit on the big side.
Okay.
So we have now here, presume.
Yeah, you got a couple. You got a couple of comments too. Like I think Neo's
Hello,
comment
once again.
Neo's comment
Chris,
was
can
pretty
you hear us?
interesting.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I lost internet at home, so I'm on my phone.
I was afraid that I was
Sorry
offending
if I have a shitty sound.
you. Actually, you sound better than before.
Oh, okay.
It's
So
actually true.
that's a good thing, I guess.
Okay, Swiss. So we were just repeating your points that you made earlier. You also said 43 or 42.8 was a little bit too big. Yeah, you also said that according to Monsieur Meilon, the Pioneer has a market share of 50% and more of the H. Moser line.
Yeah.
And I think for a good reason, because it is it is a classic watch, but it's not. So Moser put their own stamp
Well,
on
they
it.
marketed it, Jonathan, as a sports watch. That's how they marketed this. They didn't market it as a dress watch.
Yes.
I would say the Streamliner is their sports watch.
But this was
Yeah,
before the
but it's
Streamliner,
not
right?
accessible. This one at least is accessible. Oh yeah, and
Mhm.
also a big, a big factor. Obviously, it's more affordable than the other watches that usually come in gold or in steel, but very limited, and therefore they bump up the price. I think it's like 13,000, something like that. So
Yeah, I think it's
fairly
$1,000 less than the 43. So I think in the US it's like 13,000 US, and the bigger one is 14.
yeah. There we go.
So
now we went
that
down
is-
the rabbit hole, Jonathan, of the Pioneer when it first came out, and you're talking about this new release. So what's changed? What's new in this release compared to what we've just kind of talked about with the Pioneer?
Yeah, so we talked already about it. The sensation is the smaller size, 40 millimeters. I hope that Swis is able to try that on when he's going on his watch adventures at the end of the month. Or have you tried on the 40 millimeter already somewhere?
No, I never
your
tried it.
contacts? But what is also striking you is that that gorgeous blue color that
Yeah.
they call what
It's
is the name? Arctic blue.
blue.
Yeah. So I'm totally overwhelmed by that color, because so far, in my opinion, H. Moser didn't manage to get the right tone of blue, and I'm a sucker for brilliant blue dials, and this is perfect, I must say.
Yeah.
Can I read one comment from you guys from the chat? Neo says, "Do you think Moser is headed down the road of JLC? They make great watches, but perhaps not compelling enough to warrant the purchase."
I think Swis can reply to that because he's in close touch with H. Moser, and as far as I know, their order books are full, aren't they?
I don't really agree, simply because they make way fewer watches than JLC. JLC is very, very popular, very, respected. And people say, oh, they are a failing company because none of their watches are waitlisted. And, because they have, they produce a lot. So everything is available, but yet, they make absolutely beautiful watches. Moser, on the other hand, they really make limited production. I think, the Streamliner, if you take every collection, every watches of the Streamliner ever produced, I think there is like 300 of them in total, something like that.
Yeah, definitely not many.
Yeah, so this watch is very limited, you know.
I also think the comparison with JLC is different on many levels, because H. Moser has a very young clientele, while JLC is very conservative, also with the styling of their watches, with technology. So I would guess the traditional JLC owner is double the age of an H. Moser owner.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, Jonathan, was like H. Moser's marketing, like you said, to a younger demographic, right? All the trolling they do online, like, before the old Basel World and Watches and Wonders and stuff, like they're appealing to a younger demographic, where I don't see JLC doing that. Like most people that are buying a JLC are buying a Reverso. They're looking for heritage. They're looking for a story. There's the odd person who cares about, the whole movement history of JLC movements, but honestly, it's just a completely different market. So, yeah.
So Mrs. Higgins is joining here now, so the trolls better behave. So Swis, what do you have to say about the clientele?
I don't know. I don't really have much to say. I think what you said was very pertinent, and I agree in general.
I also think that H. Moser is always trying to get a very personal and extravagant touch without going totally off limits. And in my opinion, what we are seeing tonight is the perfect example.
Yeah.
This is an
And
unusual
I'm
watch.
really happy that they are doing this, because I always say that watches should go back to more traditional sizes, like towards 38 millimeter. I think it's a perfect size for every type of watch. They did this like 1 or 2 years before with the Venture. You remember the Venture?
Yes.
It used to be like 42 and more, which is super big, which is really odd because it has a slimmer case than the Endeavor. And I was really surprised when they first of all, they retired the collection, but they continue to make the Venturer and some special watches. For example, there was a Venturer with a Venta black dial in 39 millimeters, and this one was very, very beautiful.
I think Ventura is in the Heritage collection, isn't it?
Now I think it's only in the specials. You have to look at the
Exceptional, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't see it here.
Oh, let me find you a link so you can show it.
Yeah. So yeah, but now I lost my thought. What I find remarkable as an example for H. Moser, and you, Swis, as an H. Moser owner, can you tell us a little bit about the crown, because those watches have a very significant shaped crown, and I think I know why the shape is, but maybe you as an owner can give us some of your thoughts.
Okay, just give me 1 second.
Mhm.
I think this is the link.
Mrs. Higgins is not happy with the strap.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, there's the Venture I was talking about.
1 second.
So you were talking about the crown?
Yes. The crown has a special shape, and I think there is a purpose for this shape of the crown, and maybe you can give us some first-hand experience how you experience this special shape of crown.
I never thought of it, to be honest. It's
Okay.
like a semi-onion shape. I mean, what would you
Okay,
qualify?
so what I'm trying to explain is, so usually when you try to set a watch, if you have a straight shaped crown, you use your fingertips and pull the crown out, and
Yeah.
I think this shape here is preventing that your fingertips are slipping off the crown. So the crown is very grippy at the moment when you try to pull that out. And I'm seeing this type of crown shape throughout the H. Moser collection, and that to me is an example how much attention to the detail is being found.
And
H. Moser.
even more underneath the crown, on the case, there is a small notch, so you can really put your finger underneath, so you don't hurt your nails every time you want to take the crown out.
Yeah, and
you are correct.
Yeah, we all know how important fingernails are for us watch collectors.
Yeah.
So yeah, we know that Mrs. Higgins doesn't approve with the rubber strap. I'm hearing that there are different kinds of straps available for this particular watch, so that shouldn't be an issue for people to find out.
You can change straps; it's no problem.
Yeah. What I also learned today from the presentation that was done on Monochrom, I hope that the viewers can see that there is an H. Moser logo, which appears to be embossed.
Transparent.
Yeah, but
so
this
actually, it's. I thought it was like stamped or something, but actually, it's printed, but with a transparent ink.
Yeah. So that H. Moser logo is on top. It's not underneath. It's not lowered. It's raised.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah. It's printed on.
Yeah. So yeah, in my opinion, that is just another example that you have to look very close to discover what crazy things H. Moser is really doing. Swis, from your viewings, do you recall if those dots here on the Re-O, that is a correct pronunciation and not Rehot or something like that, on the Re-O, are those loomed? Do you know that?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And also the batons?
No, these are metallic.
Okay, so
it's only the hands and the small dots.
Okay. Tanzil, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still with you. I'm impressed with your pronunciation of French. So
thanks for the flowers.
What do you think about that hidden logo? You know, the very first time they brought it up, it was, I think, on a special Héritage model. I thought it was a bit cheesy, you know, because it's like they wanted, you know, their thing is like no printings, no logo, everything. And they tried to do like a compromise between having a logo and not having a logo. And I was like, yeah, it's a bit odd doing it that way, you know, printing it, you know, with an invisible ink. But in the end, I think it's really nice because it goes really nicely with the dial. You know, the dial is famous for playing beautifully with the light. And when on top your logo, you know, you have to play with the light also, you know, have the right angle so you can see it with the shine of the sun or your lighting. I think this adds you know, playfulness to the dial. And now I think I'm liking it.
yeah, it's a good point. Like, it's something you can't see in photos right now. And I actually like that about certain watches where you discover, you know, like Jonathan was saying, you discover a lot of it when you see it in person and you handle it versus like, you know, a stock book. Like, I didn't even know that was there. I thought this was just your standard Pioneer, just in a smaller size, right? So that's something that I also find pretty interesting with the piece, and I'd like to see it in person.
Yeah, I agree with Swis for once. I think that that application of this particular logo is really cool, and yeah, as far as I know, nobody else does it. Would it be cooler having no signature at all? I think we can debate that all day long. I think part of owning such a piece from such a cool brand, part of the experience is that you find the logo and the company branding somewhere. And in my opinion, they did the very best to make it playful, like Swis says, playing with the light, and also very discreet, so not really in your face.
Can you do me a favor, Jonathan, and pull up Watches 63's comment? It's a good one.
Of course. So you mean that one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Point taken. Yeah. So I think we discussed the crown issue with my world timer Benjamin Chi Celestial Voyager. I agree with you. The crown is not the best part of this watch, but I'm wearing it now since 10 days, uninterrupted, didn't stop, so I didn't have to touch the crown. So how about that? No, but I think he has a point. So Mrs. Higgins is now replying to very private questions, and I have to address to that. So questions for Mrs. Higgins. How do you feel about your husband that has a 007 action figure collection, who talks across the world to a doll collector who has many Superman dolls? Is this normal? And Mrs. Higgins says, no, there is no 007 action figure at home. I make sure about it. Well, honey, here comes the news. I have 007 action figures. You just didn't see them when I bought them on eBay, and I packed them immediately in the basement. So I have a couple of them, never really played with them, of course, and they're stacked in boxes away. just for being complete.
So I'm looking
So-
forward to the video battle between Higgins' 007 collection of dolls versus Mr. GMT Superman collection.
I thought you're waiting for the video. Now that I go down to Mrs. Higgins and explain her what I did in terms of those 007 action
no,
figures.
no.
Yeah, I
so-
hope you have a really comfy couch for tonight.
Yeah, Chili Badger is really my favorite troll because he's exposing my weaknesses over and over, and what can I do? What can I do? Okay, so so now I got totally sidetracked. Yes, Doll Wars. What I observed, and I hope that H. Moser is fixing that. I think we have two different shades of blue here, while the dial the color name is the same. Do you think
Yeah.
that H. Moser is deliberately changing the tone from the tourbillon to the three-hander, or is that just
No,
a matter of prototype?
I think it's just a matter of prototypes.
Which tone do you like better, Swis?
I think I like the one on the left, slightly more lighter.
The tourbillon.
But on the right, it looks more like a Smurf blue, whereas the other one is really like Arctic blue.
I think.
Yeah, I would say the one on the right, it needs to be a bit deeper because it's a more simple watch, right? So in the tourbillon section, you don't want the attention necessarily on the dial. The tourbillon is going to be where you really think. Like, I wouldn't need to have a dial that's just totally spectacular like that. Versus if it's in a plain watch, I would want a bit more from it. So I think the one on the right's better for me.
Oh, okay. So I personally like the tourbillon better as well because it's a little bit greenish. I think it has a little bit more green in the color, but I personally find it more vibrant. So we will see, and Swis will report from Watches and Wonder if they're really different, the tourbillon and the three-hander.
Well, I will not be able to say because actually Moser is not present at Watches and Wonders.
Oh, they are not? Okay.
No, because apparently they are putting all the attention on their other brand, Outlans.
Okay. But Outlans is being displayed at Watches and Wonder.
Yes. So the guys will be there, but they would not be presenting Moser.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, the big news, 40 millimeters, and I think Swis and we've been talking about that a year ago. If we can see a trend from certain releases, I think we took a Tudor as an occasion to discuss if watch sizes are going down. I think this move by H. Moser, they're not a big player, but it shows you which direction case sizing is going. And in my opinion, case sizing is going down a little bit smaller, and thank God for that.
Oh, that's a nice shot.
Yeah.
What do you think about the flying tourbillon?
I think it's absolutely gorgeous, and people don't keep in mind this tourbillon is 50,000 Swiss francs. So you get an H. Moser, reputable maker, with a tourbillon with dual hairsprings, as far as I know. Is that correct?
Yeah, everything made in house.
Yeah, everything made in house for 50,000, and that is really significant. And the tourbillon is not shabby. Dare I say that? So
it's gorgeous.
I think it's a fantastic offer that H. Moser is doing. So did you have the chance to talk with the H. Moser CEO about the concept of this replaceable tourbillon? What the reason behind all this is?
Yeah, it's just that it's way more easier to service, and the movement really has been designed so it is easy to work with as a watchmaker, because if you have to replace a balance spring on a regular watch, you have to basically take apart the whole movement. Whereas over here, you just, you know, the balance is it has its own little module that, you know, can be replaced easily.
Yeah. And this is not only for the tourbillon, this is all for all escapements from H. Moser.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a good step forward into making those a little bit more accessible in the first place, and then also not to confront the client with a $10,000 service bill then when it's due to service. So I think it's a win-win situation for everyone.
Yeah, I would say that this is probably for me, the biggest selling point about the piece, right? Obviously very accessible, like you said, in price, you know, quote unquote, if 50,000 is accessible, but you know, in today's age of tourbillons and how expensive they are, and then seeing the engineering behind this piece is actually pretty refreshing to me. You know, it's not elaborately decorated. It's not, you know, your traditional, what you'd see in these really high-end complications from some of the high-end Swiss brands. It's a very, you know, it looks very utilitarian in its design, and I actually think that's really cool about the piece. And it really, I think, stays with the motif of the Pioneer line and its, you know, idea of being a sport watch and not necessarily your dress art piece that you would expect in a specific tourbillon.
I also read on, I think on Hodinkee, that one of the journalists asked Meilland if he could make that watch smaller. So the 43 millimeters were a constant criticism, and he said that it's going to be very difficult. And I would like to pinpoint our attention for a second on the case back and how it's constructed, because the traditional Pioneer case back is just a rounded ring with some screws, and here they had some extra pockets, some extra latches, I assume, to increase the stability of that case back, because let's keep in mind that watch is water resistant until 120 meters, so it had to have some substance. And I think that is one thing that Mr. Meilland mentioned, that it's not easy to shrink the Pioneer line down to 40 millimeters, but ultimately they did.
Yeah, very good.
So I'm lacking of a picture of the. One second, I'm trying to find one.
Be careful, Jonathan. We may see your Google history.
No big problem.
Mrs. Higgins might see you looking up 007 dolls.
Pioneer back side. How can I avoid that? By clicking off, yeah. I would guess.
Yeah, you would just go back to us three.
Okay, good point. So let me check.
And the new Pioneer has a gold rotor, as I saw, whereas the old one has tungsten model rotor.
Here is a picture of the case back of the old one, which also has those latches, but they don't extend into the case. So there is a difference in construction.
It's a good point, Swis. Like, do you think that it looks like a rose gold rotor? Do you think it would have been better if they used maybe like a white gold rotor to be similar to the design of maybe the tungsten style, or like a different type? Like rose obviously gives a bit of contrast here. Do you think it's the right choice? Could they have done better or differently?
I don't really know. Between golds, there is no difference. If it's just a styling question, then I guess everyone has its own opinion. I like rose gold. Pretty good.
Yeah, I just think about it when you see like the AP 15510 in the 50th anniversary. They didn't use the rose gold, right? They went with a white metal for it. So, which I didn't really like. I didn't like the fact that they did that.
Yeah,
many people away from
do not like that rotor, actually.
Yeah, so that's why I was asking. It's like, well, if this was a white gold rotor or similar to that one, would it have been a better styling cue than the rose gold?
So here we have the rose gold rotor in the tourbillon,
Yeah.
And here we have the tungsten rotor in the three-hander watch, correct?
Interesting. Yeah.
And Tan's question was, what if this rotor would be in white gold, for example? Was that your question, your point?
Yeah, like personally speaking, I probably would have preferred it in white gold.
I
versus
totally
this
agree,
rose gold.
actually, yeah. Because the watch is plain and simple, and why adding this additional color that is not be seen on the dial? It's not be seen even on the gears. So why adding that third color? In my opinion, it's a little bit pointless. And it would add to the pure concept of this particular watch. Okay, so yeah, we are going down to pricing. Sells Swiss francs 12,900, including taxes, and the tourbillon is Swiss francs 50,000, including taxes. I think in the US it's like $14,000 plus tax, and the tourbillon is like 55. But you get a ballpark, and I think those watches are both well priced. I had the thought today that with those offers, with those watches, you will be having a hard time to buy a Grand Seiko for 10,000.
That is true, in my opinion. Yeah, that's true.
Because I'd rather uppay, and I'm a big Grand Seiko fan, but Grand Seiko is moving up and up and up more with their watches and with their movements. But this is something totally different. And
What's a really good comparison, Jonathan? Because when you think of when we're talking about Grand Seiko in this example, you're talking about the lower end of Grand Seiko, where the buyers are typically, they're enamored by the dials, right? Whether it's the snowflake, the birch dials, whatever it may be. And obviously Moser with their Pioneer dial and very famous in the Fumet dial that they use, in certain cases is spectacular. So, if you're comparing it, and I think the biggest gripe a lot of Grand Seiko people have is they don't really like the case thickness necessarily of those Grand Seikos in this price point. They may prefer this, right, in this 40 millimeter format that might fit the bill if they're looking for that purchase. To be totally honest with you, if I had the choice of the two, I would probably lean towards this over a white birch, even though I'm a big fan of the white birch myself. So yeah.
But I had exactly the same thought today, and I'm the biggest Grand Seiko fan that you can find on this planet. But I would make the same choice, yes. So I think it's a brilliant move by H. Moser. And by the way, I've just sent the link to my friend Jacopo, who is selling H. Moser, and his reply, because the question for today's stream is that a home run? And he immediately replied that it's a total home run. And I'm pretty sure he's going to be very busy in the next couple of days. Yeah, whole milk. The white birch is 7,000 used. That is twice the price. But let's compare now new watches with new watches. And with the white birch, you're almost at 10, I think at 9. And the question was, would you rather spend 9,000 for a white birch compared to H. Moser? And if your decision is for the white birch, it's a fantastic watch, and there is nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, look, I think they're comparable, right? Like you're right. Like if you're comparing retail prices, they're pretty close in retail price. You get more exclusivity, I think, from buying a Moser, and and both houses are great houses, right? Like Seiko has itself, a lot of vertical integration in its own pieces, and their artisan pieces are very nice. So yeah, I don't think you could go wrong with either of the choices. I just think that it makes the choice, like you said, a lot more difficult now, because this is a very well-made piece.
And I think one problem is that Grand Seiko moved so much up in the last couple of years. When we started talking about Grand Seiko, it was 70% of a comparable Rolex. Now a new Grand Seiko has almost the same retail price, just like a comparable Rolex watch. So they moved up in prices, and that then makes them comparison to other brands and other watches that were not there when they really started.
Yeah, the way I see it when it comes to prices going up for brands and stuff like that, it's whether it's justifiable or not, right? I use this analogy, on the Archie Luxury show a while back, like the Nissan GTR. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that car, but when that car first came out, it was the quote unquote supercar killer because you could get it at a way cheaper price than you'd be paying for these supercars. But then progressively over time, it got more expensive, and people are still buying it because they still feel it's great value for money. And I think that that's the exact same for Grand Seiko. I don't disagree with them that, going a bit upstream and paying a bit more money, because at the end of the day, the brand is producing good quality pieces.
Yeah, and let's be realistic. I don't know how many of those watches H. Moser will be able to make within a year. Probably 50 or 100. So there are enough clients for Grand Seiko left.
Yeah. It's
So
still a niche brand, So
yeah, totally. Yeah, but yeah, but I think it's a very interesting question, and I think it's a gorgeous watch for that price. I would suggest that I'm playing the little video that the viewers out there can also see the grooves in the case and how the entire watch looks. So I'm playing this little video now for you. Can you hear the sound? Could you hear the sound?
No.
You can. I think this is very important here, the grooves. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so I think we are all of a similar opinion that this is a home run by H. Moser.
Thomas Burnett is asking, do you think Moser should be doing more with their movements rather than just using the HMC 200 in most of their watches, concentrating more on gimmicky designs? I mean, it's a very very successful, time only movement. So why develop a whole new movement if you already have one? And they have those higher complications, very interesting perpetual calendar movements that are very sturdy and like Ulysse Nardin, you can go forwards, backwards. It's basically unbreakable perpetual calendar. They have those big dates and everything. So if you want an interesting movement, you can go further up the complications. I think
that's you made a good point, because I think that is the point, Swis, is if you care about movements, if you care about finishing, if you care about all that stuff, you're going to go in the high end of it, right? This model is not meant to be that. And most buyers of this model aren't going to give a shit about the movement. They really aren't. Like, when you buy a Rolex sub, no one's buying the movement. You know what I mean? Like, you're just not.
Yeah.
So I don't see the point of them making a special design, FP Journe, technical innovation for a watch that literally they're building a sport watch that has great value in it, that they want to market to a younger consumer. That younger consumer, most young consumers, are not necessarily going to H. Moser and saying, I want a technically advanced movement in an entry-level piece.
And I give H. Moser credit for not doing the module way like so many other companies are doing, by using that automatic movement and just slapping a chronograph movement on it or a perpetual calendar movement, because their perpetual calendar movement is totally different than this automatic three-hander. So I give them credit, particularly with those small numbers, to have different movements for different applications and not really shortcutting.
Yeah,
I mean,
and Thomas is going further, saying, when I say gimmicky designs, I'm referring to things like Swiss Alp watch and the recent green Genesis. I mean, remember that the Swiss Alp has its own square movement, so they actually did the innovation, which you know, goes counter to whatever we said, but they actually made the effort to give the square watch its own square movement, and I think this is very respectable.
Yeah, I agree, and I applaud H. Moser for those small numbers. Having a handful of different calibers is really applaudable and nothing to be criticized. I think also the merits of H. Moser are not on those fancy movements. I think their merits is more on design, on functions, just like we're having here this perpetual calendar. I think we've been discussing that that perpetual calendar, and particularly that ring of the date, Swiss. While I'm trying to find a picture of that, maybe you try to explain what I mean.
Yes. So they have the big date, but you know, usually when we say big date, it's when the date is showed with two rings, one for the digit and one for the tens, just like in Lange or, for example, Glashütte. So they have two rings. Here, they have just one big date. It's not two separate rings moving. But actually, what they did is they also have two rings, but they are stacked one on top of the other. And so you have half of the numbers of one ring, and then it is hollow, and then you see the other one that is underneath. It's imperceptible just looking at it, but it is actually one on top of the other, and it really gives that sensation that you have just one big date, because it's so big. When you think of it, it shouldn't be possible to have all the numbers arranged in one ring, but you know, they stacked two of them.
Jonathan, I'd love to hear from Muhammad Ali. He's in the chat. He owns a Pioneer. I've seen it. He's posted. He's got a red dial Pioneer, I believe. And I guess, like, from my perspective, when someone's buying a Moser, you know, when Thomas Burnett's talking about gimmicky, right? Like, when you buy a Moser, you know, the folks that are seeking this out, you know, they're seeking to make a statement. They're buying a statement piece for themselves that they wanted to get something different, right? And if you look at Moser's design, it's very minimalist, right? Looking at that perpetual calendar, it's when you think perpetual calendar, you don't think that. Just a very fresh, minimalist design, and you know, it is a statement that you're making that, you know, I could have spent the $12,000 on something else, an Explorer 2, whatever it may be, but I chose this because, you know, I appreciate the design that they have. I appreciate what the brand represents. And really, that's, you know, when I was looking at a Moser, that's what I was thinking in my mind. And when I spoke to Edouard Melon, I said, you know, I'm a Patek collector. I love Patek Philippe watches, but your message, your marketing, your design, like, it really speaks to me. I'm not young by any means, but, you know, I have a lot of friends that are in their 20s and 30s that, you know, when they're looking at pieces, they're looking at Mosers because it really speaks to them, right? So, you know, that's the way I see it. I'd love to hear Muhammad Ali, because he has one, and his decision making, like what he went through to actually make his decision.
Yeah. So Muhammad Ali, I posted the link in the comments. If you want to hop on, you're welcome, but no pressure. I just wanted to. I finally found the picture while Swis was talking his ass off. So basically, that date window from H. Moser consists of two movement rings, and you can see the upper movement rings. It starts with 16 and it ends with 31, and you can understand now the problem that they have with those big numbers. It's impossible to print out all days of a month on one single ring. So what H. Moser did then is to stack those two rings on top of each other. So you can see here the rest of the lower ring, 30 and 29, and there is a ring on top which has a little aperture. and this moves then along and shows then the appropriate date. So it's a very ingenious construction. I've not seen that anywhere else. Swis, are you aware of something like that?
It is their thing, and you can actually see the notches you see around the ring, around the 1, 2, 3, and the hollow part. This is actually where the it has to communicate with the perpetual mechanism, from the perpetual time, because obviously, like, February has only 28 days, sometimes 29. There's 30-day month, 31-day month. Everything has to be coordinated, and it is actually using those small notches on the side.
Yeah,
and it's very, very well done.
Yeah. So Muhammad Ali says he's on his way home, but Muhammad Ali, so he's in the car. But Muhammad Ali brought another aspect, which is not the favorite aspect of this channel, but I think he's bringing up a good point. He says, I'm so happy I managed to get one his before the hype takes over and they become impossible. I think this 40 millimeter with that gorgeous blue dial will bring a lot of interest to the brand, and probably not only for those two models. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like the Pioneer did bring a lot of interest to the, like, prior to the Pioneer, I wasn't so interested in their other pieces. A bit too traditional for me, and if I was going to go traditional, I have other brands I can go to, right? But when they came out with the Pioneer line, it really sucked me into like being interested in the brand, and like I said, very accessible. Like, Swis has spoken to the CEO, I've spoken to the CEO. I'm quite sure if you reached out, you'd probably get a response, and I think that's cool, because a lot of times we want to connect with the brands that we're so passionate about. Talking watches with our friends, whether it's here or elsewhere. And, I really do think that this is an underrated, I don't believe it's a hype brand, and I feel it's definitely very underrated. But yeah, very, very cool factor. Like when you sent me the info that you were going to do this, Jonathan, I was very excited to talk about it, because very few and far between do we actually go down the rabbit hole, speaking about Moser, potentially even have an owner, with Muhammad Ali, to come on and tell us why he bought his watch, right? Which is a pretty cool and interesting thing to me.
So, what do we have more than H. Moser? I'm ready to present another watch, but should we talk a little bit more about H. Moser, or should we move on to the next one?
I was just going to ask, like, what the Streamliner. You're a fan of that. You're a fan of that watch,
Yes.
right? I don't find it aesthetically pleasing. But then again, I've never tried one on, so my opinion could change if I actually try one on and it looks really nice on my wrist. What do you've obviously tried it on? Like, what do you love about that watch that keeps you touting that watch is a success?
The striking thing about this, in my opinion, is the blue dial. Again, we're talking about blue dials. 1 second, I try to show you the picture of the blue Streamliner Chrono. It is a hypnotizing blue color. The case design is totally unique. It has a little bit of a lobster structure, but it's so much cooler on the wrist when you feel that watch, when you have it on the wrist. I'm not sure. Swis tried it all out as well, and I think Swis is also a fan. Would you agree that the pictures, though they are gorgeous, but in real life on your wrist, is so much
better in real life? So I have a friend who just acquired Streamliner, the 3 hands green dial.
Mm-hmm.
It's an absolutely beautiful watch. It also has the HNC 200 movement inside. I mean, just the construction of the bracelet is so damn, it's very, very, very hard today to make an integrated bracelet watch, like sporty watch, and not having a obvious Genta design. And they actually really nailed it with doing something different. Yet I think it's really beautiful, and I tried it. It's very comfortable. very comfortable.
Most of the bracelets are based on the design of the Jubilee bracelet or on the Oyster bracelet. So I applaud H. Moser for doing something different with those rectangular plates that you can see. But then on top of it, they gave that crazy three-dimensional structure that has not been seen before. And that is just so totally unusual and so totally from the norm that I cannot feel different than just love it.
You got a good question from Aunt G in the chat.
These are in PRX. Very good question. I'm leaving that question to my two panelists here. Those are the real experts.
For me, I'm not a huge fan of integrated bracelets, and you guys know I love the Royal Oak, and to me that's the watch I want when it comes to an integrated bracelet. Obviously my opinion could change if I do wear this watch and I try it on and I like it, but for me, I've owned a Nautilus, I've owned Royal Oaks, and to me I've always gravitated to that. I haven't had a huge interest in getting an overseas specifically, although I do appreciate the overseas. But for me, I only need one integrated bracelet watch in my collection, and it would probably be the Royal Oak.
Don't make your decision before you try on the Streamliner.
No, exactly, right? Like I felt the other way with the Reverso. I hated it in pictures. I put it on the wrist when I tried it on. I loved it, and I bought one. I hated the Hulk. In photos, when I saw one in the sunlight, I was like, I have to have one. It's stuff like that, right? Like you have to try these on before making and reserving judgment. So that's why I'm saying I'm reserving judgment. I'm hearing from you guys who have actually tried it on and said, yeah, don't pass up on this because you may actually like it in the end.
Actually, I was very negative towards the watch when I first saw it because I thought this is just a mess of people trying to make something different and not achieving it. So it grew on me, particularly when I started to talk with Swis about H. Moser, and I think he shared a picture of someone wearing it. And then when I tried it on in person, it was a total game changer. Okay.
Yeah, the PRX is too big. It's 42. It's too big.
Well, don't they do it now in 40 millimeters? I think there is a new one in 40.
No, it's either 40. I think it's 42 or what's it called? 35. Or I think it's 40 and 35. Whatever. The PRX, the larger one, is way too large. Because I know, because I have one and I can barely put it on.
I think they changed the size recently, but I may be wrong. I'm not interested in the PRX because they have plastic parts.
I'm not sure myself, but if they did, then it's a good thing.
So let me check. Here we have, and we have a new PRX owner, and I was hoping that he was unboxing. So this is 40 millimeters.
Yeah. Well, maybe mine is 42. It's also 40.
Okay.
But it's just too big.
It's too big, yeah. But you have girly wrists, so let's keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So this is 35 as far as this is 35.
Yeah, and this is slightly too small.
Yeah. Yeah, I have my reservations as set because of plastic parts. So yeah, I felt a little bit when I first saw the Streamliner. I thought exactly just like our dear friend here. What's the point? And you really have to see it a couple of times and probably try it on, and then you understand it. So Watcher 63 is asking, Tan, I think you will want a 5811 when you get to try one on.
Yeah, look, like I'm pretty sure I will appreciate the heft of the gold piece, but for me, I'm a little beyond looking necessarily at the Nautilus range. I never was interested in the Aquanaut range, for example. And when I bought my Nautilus, like, yeah, it was a nice watch. Don't get me wrong. It was a great watch. I paid, a little over retail at the time when it was like 24K retail. But for me, and Thierry Stern said it himself, there is no hero watch at Patek Philippe. We don't want to be defined by one lineup. And do I appreciate the Nautilus? Absolutely. But is it my end all be all Patek Philippe? Definitely not. I still really, aspire for a grand complication. I aspire for certain pieces. Everybody knows I'm a huge fan of the 3940. That's literally my grail piece. A very iconic perpetual calendar from Patek Philippe. So I'm seeking more of those pieces these days than I am, off the Nautilus craze. But yeah, I do believe that, sure, if I put it on, would I say it's a bad watch? I'd probably say it's a great watch. But for me and what I'm collecting these days, it's not something I'm seeking to go after.
Yeah, I think you you said it well. I think Thierry Stern doesn't want his most popular model being a steel sports watch because he doesn't feel that that is his.
Well, and that's exactly why he created, he's creating these other pieces, that are, in steel, like the 5935, world time chronograph, which is a really cool piece. You got the 5212 weekly calendar. He knows that the buyer wants steel, but he does not want steel to be a definitive metal for his brand. He wants his brand to be a precious metal brand, which I appreciate. And that's why I do appreciate the fact that they took the 5711 and they made it a gold watch, at least in the interim time right now.
So Thomas Bernard makes a very good comment. The bracelet reminds him of the Porsche design Ocean 2000. I agree with you, Thomas, but this the H. Moser is much more complex. So the Ocean 2000 bracelet is very simple from its shape, and here you can see that domed middle part, but then it has a kind of notch or a kind of wall, or if you want to say a kind of horn. So it is a much more complex structure. But I agree with you that there are some similarities, and I think the H. Moser is a big evolution step from the Ocean 2000 into modern watch design. So I understand where you're coming from, but in my opinion, the comparison is very it's not very close.
So John, what was the next watch?
Yeah, the next watch was here. I was bringing that up again. Brand that we never talked about is Angelus, or what is the pronunciation in French? Angelus?
Yeah.
Have you seen this showing up today?
Nope.
So this is a collaboration between Angelus and Messina Lab, and it's a chronograph medical with a function that I've never seen on a chronograph, and I think it's called an aspirograph or something like that. 1 second, I'm trying to find that.
So it's for doctors.
Yeah, it is a doctor's watch for sure. And
c'est quoi un aspirographe?
Aucune idée. We will learn.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, I've never heard of this. Like, what is this?
Yeah, never heard it. So the inspiration is from an old doctor's watch that Angelus made in the 1960s. I think that there is a very cool kind of magnifying thing here for the pulsation or the pulsograph, and you can see here the aspiration counter, the respiration counter. So basically, it works like that. You push start and your chronograph starts here at 12, and then you count until your patient has breathed 5 times in and out. And then you read the inner scale, and that gives you the number of breaths that he takes per minute.
Okay.
Never seen that before.
Me neither.
Yeah. So now we have the re-edition from Angelus in stainless steel. I have to check what what the size is. I think it's 39, or let me check. Yeah, it's 39 millimeters, 9.2 millimeters high, and they have their own Angelus movement, which has been the base for the Cartier Collection Privée Tortue monopusher chronograph, and apparently they got the rights back, and now they are making this this column wheel chronograph with those long livers, with a very nice decoration, and they're doing that. Angelus is part of La Joux Perret, which, as far as I know, is owned by Citizen now. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it is owned by Citizen.
Yeah, but I think
What I like, Jonathan, is I like connecting the dots. And I read your article on monochrome, and you said that one of your aspirational pieces is a collection privée de Cartier. And
yes,
I'm wondering if that is the one you just described, if that was the piece that you actually want to acquire, and if you could show that after you're done, because I'm interested to see it.
that is very high on my list. But I've not made the decision, and the problem is every time Cartier comes out with a collection privée piece, I'm falling in love, and so every new release is just before the next release.
Last time it was the Chinoise.
Yeah, which I
Now,
totally love.
in a month there will be something new.
Yeah, I think we both loved the Chinoise, didn't we, Swis?
I think it's okay. It's
Okay.
it's not the best.
So I think that is a very cool watch from a brand which is not very often talked about, with a very interesting function and a very interesting dial. Now comes the big question: how much would you pay for this? We're making a little bit of tea and tickers here. How much does someone pay for that? It is a limited edition, as far as I know,
I'm not
100.
familiar with the typical Angelus pricing. I mean, given the watch, the movement, it's in steel. I would say 15. 15, a bit more, maybe. Yeah, 15. I would say.
Tanzil?
Well, I saw the price now that Jonathan let the
You've
cat out of
seen
the
it?
bag. So yeah, I've seen it. So I'm not going to cheat. So I'll reserve not saying anything. Mine was much lower, by the way. Mine was like 5, is what it was. I was originally going to say, but Swiss was closer.
I was hoping that they would push it under 10, but unfortunately, it is 20.
It's just so niche. It's just so niche, man. Like,
yep, it's very niche.
Yeah.
Do you think that Angelus will have difficulties to sell this limited edition?
I don't know. They always have some crazy watches, to be honest. There was one, I don't even know if you remember, it had that like a snake going around the dial in like a 8-figure shape. Really crazy.
Was that also Angelus? I know exactly what you mean.
I think it was Angelus.
With that snake track? 1 second.
I don't know. Let's have a look at what they.
Browser doesn't work.
I just think the clientele is going to be tough here, because you're going to have somebody who cares about the complication, somebody who has some connection to it, a doctor, right? Or a nurse, or somebody who has that connection to it. Like when you showed this, I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh, maybe my brother's a physician, for example. Maybe I'd buy this for him, as a gift. He wears a Hulk, so I don't think he'd give a shit about this. But hey, he's a doctor. He might like it. He might think it's cool, right? That's the only. I'm trying to think who would actually be interested in this.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing. I think also this here reminds me of another watch that we've recently seen. Instagram, yeah, I'm not on Instagram, unfortunately. So I'm talking about this one here. I can't bring it up. Here, Flying Tourbillon. I think the optics is a little bit like the Bel Canto from Christopher Ward, particularly on that upper part. I know it's a tourbillon. It's maybe a stretch. So Swis, did you find that that watch with the snake track? Swis is muted.
Yeah, I am looking for it.
I know what Swis is talking. I've seen him speak about it before, so I've seen it as well. But
yeah,
I didn't know Angelus made it.
But I'm not sure if it's Angelus that is. But I can't put it to a different brand.
But this being said, Angelus is well known for making those crazy watches.
That crazy stuff, yeah. Okay. Okay, so are we ready for an update on my Fabergé egg, or are we talked out?
I think I need to eat my pizza.
Okay.
Swis is cue to leave.
Okay, then I'm gonna give an update on my Octopussy egg another time. I think that sums up our impromptu Swis and Jon show for tonight. Like I said, I thought that I wanted to cover this H. Mosem news. I was hoping that Swis would hop on. I appreciate that Tanzil hopped on. So thank you very much for joining me. Did somebody see? Thomas is asking, does it have a pulsation register? Yes, as well. 1 second. I hope I haven't closed that. It has a pulsation scale as well. That is based on 10 pulsations, and you can see it here. So the outer display here is for the pulsations. So you start the chronograph, you count 10 beats of the heart, and then you read on that scale the pulsations per minute.
Mm-hmm.
So what else is left? I think we are almost done.
Well, all this talk about Chinoise has gotten me hungry for some Chinese.
I thought you wanted to see a Chinoise now.
Well, sure, yeah, pull Chinoise up as well, because the Chinoise came up on. Everyone was talking about the Oscars a few days ago, and the Chinoise actually came up as a piece that was seen at the Oscars, which is not surprising, but it when you guys talked about it, just brought that up for my. Muhammad Ali's 5 minutes from home too, so we will get an update on the Moser, which I'm excited about. So Jonathan, don't go to bed.
Swis is eating his pizza in the meantime,
and I'll order some Chinoise and I'll stay on.
Yeah, so we have here the Tank Chinoise was presented on Watches and Wonder last year. The historic Chinoise is presented here. I'm always amazed how full Cartier's design book is of watches that we don't have on the radar. I was not aware of this particular watch. I immediately fell in love.
Isn't there a Patek that is just like that?
Not sure about that. Probably yes, because
there are similar designs to it. Yeah.
So, but I immediately fell in love with it, and that was the Chinoise line. I think they made a limited edition in white gold, yellow gold, and rose gold, and then they had those pierced dials, which also formed the skeleton for those watches.
This is actually really cool.
Yeah, I love the combination of those lacquered colors, because it gives a true Chinese vibe, in my opinion, on all three watches.
The Patek 24 is rumored to have been designed off of the Tank Française. It's maybe not the Chinoise, but the Française was the one that Patek's 24 is allegedly copying.
It is.
I mean I'm not gonna say it's not. That is the one that
they took heavy inspiration from that watch, I would say.
But these pieces are exceptionally cool.
Yeah, very very unique, and this is where Cartier Collection Privée really shines. Just have a look at that movement canister, or how you would call it. This is design and technology at its finest. Here's a backside where you can see the structure of the dial building the bones for the movement.
So how difficult is it to acquire something like this, Jonathan? Because you did say this is an aspirational piece for you. How difficult is it to acquire?
Totally sold out. Everything sold out immediately, and that was a big hit. So your
actually,
chances are.
You know what? You know how they sell these watches? And I was totally surprised. They sell it first come, first serve. So I have one of my friends. He just went into a Cartier boutique, and he was offered a Cartier Crash for 3,000.
What?
Yeah, because they just received it, and he was the first guy to come in, and he bought the watch.
So, but that means first customer who comes in when they receive the watch, or after it has been presented?
Well, when they receive it and they want to sell it.
Okay. So it doesn't make sense to wait for Watches and Wonder and camp in front of your Cartier boutique. You must find the right point when those are supplied then to the boutiques.
Yeah.
I think then the question goes to Swis is like, you'd have to find, like, for example, where I'm at, there's an authorized dealer that sells Cartier here in Canada, and I don't know if they would ever get, a lot of these pieces, like, so for me, it would be quite difficult. You have to live in a city where, and if you are in a New York City or Miami or something, I'm sure it's not that hard if they adhere to the same policy. But you said your friend is in Switzerland, and that's where they were able to acquire it?
Yeah, here in Switzerland.
Okay, cool.
That is cool. So which one did he get?
Basic Cartier Crash in yellow gold.
Yeah, Crash it was. Yeah, I was focused on the Chinoise, but Crash is even cooler, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, what's the price today? It's crazy.
Yeah, they're going 80,000, 100,000. So that was limited. Yeah. So, yeah, and I wonder how much those super complicated skeleton Chinoise go.
I guess that would be at least like 30K or something like that, because the Santos skeleton is 30K, and my opinion is that is way too much. But
let's have a look on Chrono 24 if we find any Chinoise.
Yeah, good idea.
Except Cartier Chinoise. Pull it up close.
Boys, I'm just gonna skip out because I'm gonna go grab the food. I'm gonna try to be back. Okay.
Thank you very much. If we don't talk later, you have a good evening. But you're always welcome.
No, I'm gonna be listening. I'm gonna be like walking to the takeaway to get some food. I'm gonna be listening for Muhammad Ali to hop on. So I will hopefully be back very soon. See you guys.
Okay. So we have only normal Tank Chinoise at the moment. Nothing of those crazy things. I think the crazy lacquered ones are then a thing of the auction houses. So
yeah,
I'm pretty sure in the next couple of years we will see them hitting at the auction houses now and then. But we have here, I think that is platinum. Yeah, platinum limited 150, asking 50,000 fixed price.
That's a lot.
It is a lot, but you know what I like about the platinum, the red. I'm not sure if it's ruby or it's a different stone, but I like the red stone in the platinum. I think that is so cool.
Yeah.
Also a beautiful case. Oh no, it's a standard Cartier case. I thought it's Chinese inspired. Yeah, Voulez-vous has a good point. Imagine if they sold Rolex first come, first served stampedes, would be headline news. wait until they present the Submariner without crown guards now at Watches and Wonders, and you will see the crowds in front of the boutiques. Do you think that will come, Swis?
I don't think so.
I don't think so too. But every doubter, and I recently presented my slightly tastefully modified Submariner on Archie, and my favorite line is, just imagine for a second that Rolex would issue such a watch. How crazy collectors would be. That usually shuts the critics up, with the exception of Mr. GMT, who can't get enough rage about that project. So, Mr. GMT apparently is watching, yes. So what else do we have to talk in the meantime that we're waiting for Muhammad Ali to arrive back home? Does Tom Selleck still wear Rolex? As far as I know, yes. I think he's still wearing Rolex. He's not wearing the steel GMT anymore. As far as I know, he moved to a golden one, but it is reported that he still owns the GMT Master 16750. I found one comment here. Oh, now we have Muhammad Ali. Good evening, sir.
Hey, good evening, guys. How you been? Sorry, it took so long for me to join today. I was on my way.
Did you run into a radar trap in order to come home quicker, or?
No. I was walking back from the grocery store.
Okay.
So I did pick up my pace as quickly as I could.
Okay. Thank you very much for hopping on so spontaneously.
No problem at all.
So how does it feel to be a new H. Moser owner?
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, I got the H. Moser just before Christmas, and it's a brand that I've always been very interested in. I think Federica from Delray Watches was always wearing his H. Moser, his green Fume dial Pioneer, and that got me into kind of H. Moser. And then I've seen various videos over time, and have kind of seen various people kind of speak very highly of the brand. I popped into Harrods a few times in the last 18 months or 2 years, and whenever I popped in, the cases are very bare in terms of H. Moser watches. The only ones there were the very expensive ones. But before Christmas, I popped in, and they had a handful of them on display, including the red Fume dial Pioneer, and I made a spontaneous decision and just went for it.
I'm trying to pull it up, but H. Moser's webpage is not the quickest tonight.
Yeah, let me I'll switch on my camera.
So okay.
Sorry, it's
Swis. Yeah. Did you say something?
Put in big screen, man.
1 second.
That is a beautiful dial.
It is fantastic. Yeah, it's a beautiful in the sun, especially when you get certain angles. I think when you can get a side-on angle, it is beautiful. Sorry, yeah. I'm terrible with this.
Why can't I make the cinema mode?
I don't know. I'm on my phone. I cannot do anything.
Okay.
I like this. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's and the size. I know we spoke about this. The size is actually really good, 42.8. But I think it'd wear even better the new 40mm one. The kind of watch wraps around your wrist, so the lug doesn't wear as big as a 42 or 43 would suggest. But I think the new size is even better.
Yeah, I think it's a remarkable and significant watch that you have here on the wrist. You have the leather or the rubber strap, or does it come with several straps?
No, it came just with the rubber strap. But I've actually contacted H. Moser or the boutique in Harrods, and I've ordered the fabric or the kind of I don't know if it's canvas strap.
Yeah.
So I've got that coming in the next few weeks as well. Okay. So I'm going to try different straps and see how it goes. But yeah, it's a beautiful watch. The the dial is amazing, and yeah, I'm kind of very glad that I was able to kind of grab one when they
You
had
have
some
the,
stock
the
available.
you have the H. Moser logo printed on. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So it's yeah. I don't know if you can
How
see
is
it
the
too
loom?
well. The loom's pretty good. As I think Swiss was saying, the dots above the batons do loom up as well as the hands. The actual battens don't loom up, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's not bad with the loom. But I think the real beauty of this watch is when you're outside and getting the good a good bit of sunlight as well. And I think yeah, there's certain angles. I think I've sent photos through to various people. If you get it to kind of a slight, just slightly off the wrist, you do get a beautiful angle. So it is a gorgeous watch.
Yeah,
So,
you
yeah,
sent me some pictures, and the red is really striking when it's
yeah,
under natural light, isn't it?
it is. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is
So at the
beautiful.
moment it looks very fumé, but I think under natural sunlight it's much stronger, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's a beautiful watch. That's good. And
So
actually, I know we're talking about the Nomos blue and gold. So I've got
yes,
that. If you want me to show you that,
yes, please,
let me
please,
grab that.
please. Yeah. So yes, Mohammed and I, we've been talking about the new Nomos with a blue gold dial. Swiss, have you seen that? I think Swiss.
Yeah. I saw it when he got it. So what's with the blue gold?
Well, what they do is they gold plate the dial before they apply the blue, and that gives that deep blue color. So that is a trick.
So first a coat of gold and then a coat
Yes.
of blue.
Exactly, yes. And in my opinion, the Tangente is very Bauhaus, very strict, very German. And in my opinion, this blue dial, that deep blue dial, lifts the watch. Here, have a look at that. Come on, Swiss.
I'm not good. I'm not good with my angles.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a beautiful watch. I'll take it off.
That
But
is
it wears very. Yeah, it does wear beautifully. I got the 38.5, but I was a little bit worried about the it wearing too big. But the lugs, I know they kind of stick out on Nomos watches, but there is a little gradient in.
Yeah,
So it does wrap
they're
around.
angled down. So
Exactly. So
yeah,
here we
that
go.
is a fantastic thing. And I think I talked about it on the show. This watch, manufacturer, automatic movement, gorgeous movement, by the way. It doesn't look like 3,000 euros, doesn't it?
No, it feels a lot. It feels a lot.
Yeah,
lot more money.
Yeah, this is a steal of a watch. If you can accept the design, that is a stunner.
Yeah,
Yes.
even Philippe Dufour said Nomos watches are perfect for the price.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
he should know that. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, it is a lovely watch. So I'm very happy with that as well. So thank
Is
you,
that your
Jonathan.
first Nomos, Mohammed?
It's my first Nomos. Yeah. Again, Nomos has been one of those brands that I've seen a lot of, and at some point I always wanted one, and then I heard you speak so highly of this watch, and you're an expert in your field, and you know a good watch, Jonathan. So when I saw it come out, I had to grab it. So yeah, and it came through within a couple of days. I was impressed with how quickly and efficiently Nomos in Glasuta was able to kind of ship the watch.
Yeah, they were really express shipping it to you. So Mr. GMT says, "Thank God Mohammed jumped on he saved the show." I totally agree. So Swiss and I, we sucked as usual, and Muhammad Ali came for the rescue. So thank you very much again for saving this.
You're welcome. I will actually be getting another watch tomorrow. The Vacheron Constantine, the 56 blue dial. That is due to arrive. I've been in contact with Vacheron today. The courier is set to arrive at my house at 9 a.m. So I'll make sure I'll be up.
Another blue dialed watch.
Another blue dial watch, yeah.
Well, I guess we have to do a show tomorrow. Or are you scheduled for JJ?
I haven't scheduled for anyone, but
Okay.
when as soon as as soon as a show comes on, I will jump on and I'll
Yeah.
more than happy to show the watch.
So yeah, thank you very much for showing your watches, and congratulations again. I think I'm having a hard time to decide which one is better, but I guess owning them both is the best.
Yeah,
choice.
winning them both is the best choice.
Exactly.
Okay.
Ahmed, what about the new Pioneer with the blue dial?
Oh,
What do you-
yeah, I do like that. I think the size is good. And yeah, the blue dial,
JJ,
it's beautiful.
You're dreaming. You're dreaming. He's mine.
Oh, I'm everybody's. I just love good people talking about watches, and yeah,
Oh,
I love the group of people I interact with. So thank
that's
you,
all in good
everybody.
fun. That's all in good fun. Now that you showed both watches here, but I'm pretty sure you showed them also on JJ. So
Yeah, I did I was wearing the Pioneer on the last show, so
Yeah.
absolutely. But
What
yeah,
do you think about the hidden logo? Do you think it should be standard now on their watches, or they should keep it for special editions?
yeah, yeah. I'd say I would include the logo. I think the logo's yeah. I think it's obviously I'd prefer kind of the logo as in the watch I have. I know it's yeah. I mean, the logo isn't that striking anyway on the standard Pioneer, but I think it's good to have it's good to have the logo on. I would say at least a watch. Again, it's one of those watches that is only known by a few people within the watch collector enthusiast group. And I like it that way. When you're wearing this watch, it's something unique, and people who know watches appreciate it. People who don't know watches, who you probably don't want to know you're wearing an expensive watch, don't know that. So it's all about stealth wealth, isn't it? It's all about kind of knowing you're wearing something special and beautiful, but not everyone else in your local area knowing as well.
Yeah, I remember I wanted mine to have the logo, and I wanted full indices because the Endeavor also comes with, for example, only the 36912 or even nothing. I wanted the logo and an index at every mark.
Yeah, I do like indexes at every mark. I know some watches that don't have indexes, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of indexless watches because it's not easy to read the time. That's the whole point of the watch, is to clearly be able to see it's 2:30, not 1:30.
Right. To me, it's just because if you have more indices, it plays better with the ambient light.
who is now the old man who is not able to differentiate between 2 and 3 o'clock, Swiss?
That's me. But I was very happy when you guys were saying earlier in the show that H. Moser is aiming for a younger crowd. That made me feel good. That made I made the right choice. But as with kind of all the watches, I think a lot for me is the aesthetics of how the watch looks on wrist. And I do appreciate a good movement, but I'm not a watch connoisseur in that way that I'll understand how brilliant a movement is. For me, it's the look and the feel of the watch, how it wears, and what the look, the feeling of the case, and how the dial looks.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure you can also appreciate a nicely decorated movement without going into the nitty-gritty. So I'm pretty sure you will be able to differentiate an undecorated ETA movement from H. Moser movement.
Since I've been kind of following this show, you've been educating us on that. So thank you.
Swis was doing it, and I was trying to play the fool.
Good.
Okay, so I think that closes the show for tonight. We went 1 hour and 40 minutes, which is much longer than I expected. Thank you very much to everyone in the audience who hung out so long with us. Please, on your way out, don't forget to upvote. Special thanks to Tanzil, who is hopefully eating right now something beautiful, for holding my hand in the first half hour. Thank you very much, Swis, for hopping on. And I think I'm going to play the trailer.
Yeah, and don't
course,
forget, I think JJ has a show tonight. Don't forget to check that out.
Yeah,
and
there we
go.
Do you know at what time?
Let me check.
Yeah, I think the show is on at 1 a.m. in the UK.
It is in 3 hours, a bit
In
more
3
than
hours.
3 hours. Yeah.
Okay. So please join our friend JJ and watch the unboxing of the Vacheron probably tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. I think we're gonna have a show next Saturday. Thank you very much for your interest and for being always there for us. And I'm playing the ending trailer. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.